What's up, y'all? Welcome back to my channel. It's your girl S to the C Scorpio, S to the C Twerk Goddess, and as promised, I brought you a video about domestic violence, family violence, intimate partner violence. So I know this topic could be very touchy, sensitive, triggering, and it's important that if you watch this video that you make sure that you take time for self-care and also seek support from a support system if you have one, or you may want to talk to like a therapist or a counselor, or seek group therapy or any type of thing related to therapy that could help you. If you find this video triggering or the topic touching. So again, I was prompted to do this video because there's a popular influencer couple that they were going through some issues, and because they're online, or if it's an influencer that we're familiar with from social media, we kind of in their lives, they kind of share their lives, they open up, and we've seen a variety of different celebrities or influencers that kind of like displayed or shared some of their personal experiences as it pertains to familial violence or family violence or even domestic violence. So when we talk about family violence or domestic violence, it refers to intimate partners. So like intimate partner violence, so that's like a couple. It could be an LGBTQ couple. It could be a straight couple, any type of relationship or marriage. And when we talk about child abuse, it refers to like parental violence. There's also elder abuse, there's also sibling abuse, and there's also abuse towards the elderly. So it's really important that we create the dialogue and have the conversation surrounding domestic violence, because it happens in our community. And once I go over some of these numbers, it's really astonishing, the amount of violence that we see in society. And it just goes to say that society has a lot of challenges surrounding mental health, mental wellness, and there's a lot of work that needs to be done. So you could just do this in your spare time, and just you could talk with like family or friends about what you understand about family violence and give some examples. So as I mentioned, it's something that is, unfortunately, is really common in today's society. People stay in relationships that are violent for a variety of reasons. I believe I covered in one of my other videos. But now we'll cover some facts about domestic violence. So in the United States, there are over 3 million incidents of domestic violence annually. And these are according to the CDC reports or statistics from 2020. So we're in 2022 now. And obviously, when they do these studies or these reports and they gather these statistics, it's not inclusive of everybody. Everybody does not decide to participate. Some people are not counted in these studies. So the numbers are much higher. And also, they're kind of dated. So, when the studies and the statistics do come out, they're not as current as they could be. So I'm sharing with you some from 2020. And so every year there are more than 4,000 victims of domestic violence that are murdered. Me personally, I have a friend that was murdered as a result of domestic violence, and it's a real serious situation. It's a sensitive topic to talk about, especially when there's children involved. And the best thing to do if someone is in a situation where there is intimate partner violence or domestic violence is to leave that situation, because again, they can result in great bodily injuries, severe injuries, and even death, unfortunately. So in the United States, about 25% of women and 10% of men experience intimate partner violence in their life. So typically when we talk about domestic violence, we don't talk about the men, but men are actually victims as well. And so in that, a lot of times, because we live in a society where men are supposed to be macho, and men may be perceived, there's a stigma connected with men that experience intimate partner violence or domestic violence. So men are victims too, oftentimes. So about 16% of all homicides in the United States are killed as a result of intimate partner violence. So again, intimate partner violence can definitely result in death by homicide. And what we found is that adolescent girls, women, pregnant women, and elderly women are the most vulnerable. So they're the highest risk. And so you might ask, well, why would a pregnant woman or an elderly woman or an adolescent girl, a young girl, be more at risk? Well, they're more vulnerable. Obviously, elderly women, um, they may move slower, they may not be able to defend themselves. Again, that's true for like a pregnant woman. She may want to protect her child, her unborn child, so she may not have that instinct to fight. And a lot of times in this population, we see that they stay because they're fearful. They want to have the other parent there with them, even though the relationship might be dangerous, it might be toxic. And so another alarming statistic is that there's 1,305,500,000 incidents of domestic violence victims or victims of intimate partner violence. So that's like 1.3 billion people. That is a huge number, and that is globally. That's based on the World Health population. So, and that's according to the 2017 statistics. So, yeah, globally, the population is 3.73 billion people, and 1,305,500,000 are victims. So that's more than half of the global population that have experienced some form of domestic violence or intimate partner violence. And again, it's not, um, you know, based on what type of relationship it is. We also see our LGBTQ community go through intimate partner violence as well. So when we look at the numbers during COVID-19, we did see an increase. And this is based on the World Health Organization numbers, has estimated that 35% of women globally experience some type of physical or sexual violence from an intimate partner. So you might feel like, well, how can the intimate partner be sexually violent towards their partner? Well, a woman has the right to say no, a man has the right to say no. No means no. And so if someone is told no and they continue to pursue that, encounter, that's sexual assault basically, or sexual violence. And so why do we think that intimate partner violence has increased during the pandemic? Well, one reason is, there were many losses during the pandemic. People lost their jobs, people lost their loved ones, family members, so finances change. Finances is a number one reason for divorce. And so people were in the house, forced to spend more time together. So, of course, they'll be arguing and bickering about certain things, and people dealing with stress, people dealing with anxiety, people dealing with their losses, not knowing how to properly manage their feelings and emotions. So some people, they resort to violence, or they become angry and just act out. And who do they typically take it out on? The person that's closest to them. So when we think about, intimate partner violence or domestic violence, the average person might feel like, well, why don't the person just leave? I wouldn't stand for someone abusing me, or whether that's financial abuse or verbal abuse or psychological abuse or emotional abuse. I wouldn't stay. But there are some people that stay. So some of the reasons why people stay is because of, stigma. For some religions like Catholic, they don't believe in divorce and they try to work things out. So it could be, to keep the marriage together, to keep the family out the business, and just to kind of work through the problems. Another reason why people stay is for finances. Two incomes are better than one. So some people stay in intimate partner violence relationships because it's easier for two people to, afford the house and the cars and all these things. So another reason that's really popular, I've noticed, is that people stay for the children. So people make this excuse, well, I want my children to have both their parents, and they'll stay, not realizing that, violence in the home could be more emotionally damaging to a child than if the child was to just experience their parents going through a divorce or a separation. And another thing about children that, stay witness to intimate partner violence or domestic violence in the home, a lot of times when they grow up, they'll start to act out these behaviors in their relationships. And another thing is that, these children could actually see horrendous crimes. So I know the example that I brought up, I know someone that was murdered as a result of intimate partner violence. And unfortunately, they were murdered in front of their child. So their child not only lost their mother to intimate partner violence, but the child also lost the father because the father was sentenced to prison for murder. So it's really devastating on the kids. And it's really important that, if someone is in a domestic violence relationship or intimate partner relationship, that they really get help, get counseling. And if all else fails, definitely don't stay, because your life matters and a relationship is not worth it. Love does not hurt. Love is not abusive. Love is kind. Love is patient. All those good things that we've read in the scripture. So, some of the myths about domestic violence, that men are not victims of domestic violence, or that, back in the day, women were abused and they were just told to shut up and take it. And, we have so many myths, and you could just identify, after you watch this video, like some of the myths you heard, or maybe write them down, or just kind of elaborate on some of the myths that you heard about domestic violence and why people stay. So when we talk about domestic violence, there's a cycle, which, there's different phases. There's 3 phases or stages of the cycle. So first it'll be tension. So, someone lost their job, they're upset, they're angry, and they start to argue. Then phase 2 will be the violence. So they were upset in phase 1. They started arguing about finances, or who's going to pay this bill, or we don't have enough money to do this, or, you're staying out late and you're going to the bar with your friends and you're spending money and we need to pay these bills. And then in phase 2, they'll start the violence. So it might be a slap, it might be a punch, a kick, etc. And then there's the honeymoon stage, where people are apologetic. They might buy a gift. The honeymoon stage, baby, I'm sorry, it won't happen again. I was drunk, or I was upset, the Lakers lost, and I'm really upset, and buy flowers or chocolate, or well, let's go out, I'll take you on a vacation, or I'll take you to your favorite concert, or, whatever the makeup to breakup type of situation that happens, in relationships. It's common, it's nothing to be ashamed of. But when you start to see this pattern, that's a red flag, and it's something that you definitely want to keep, be mindful of. And so there's a cycle again, and there's the physical violence, a sexual violence cycle. And it all stems from power and control. So some people will use intimidation, making their partner afraid to leave, or smashing things, intimidating them, destroying things, harming the pets, which, oh my goodness, couldn't imagine. But, or they might brandish a weapon or something. They may use emotional abuse, putting a person down, or you're fat, or you're too skinny, or, I don't like your haircut, or I don't like this, or I don't like that. Playing mind games, humiliating that person in public or behind closed doors and in private, making that person feel guilty. There's also isolation. Okay, well, babe, I just love you so much. Let's just move far away to a new country or to a new city and state. And now this person is away from their family and their friends and their support system. And, they'll be limited on where they could go. Okay, well, no, I don't like my woman going out to the grocery store to do the shopping. I'll do all the shopping. Or I don't like my man, going to get the groceries. I'll get the groceries. Whatever it is, it all pertains to power and control. There's also minimizing, denying, and blaming. So they might blame a person. Well, if you wouldn't have lost your job, I wouldn't have cheated, or shifting the responsibility for their abusive behavior. And then some people use their children, sadly, unfortunately, but it's true. Some people use their children Well, if you leave me, I won't let you see the kids. We see this a lot, in different situations. Or, you won't be allowed to visit, or making the partner feel guilty, using male privilege. So, men are stronger by nature, more powerful, and more dominating. So, they may act like the master of the castle, or being the one to define a man and woman's role. Well, the woman's not supposed to have a job. So you stay here and I'll be the provider and I'll be the breadwinner. Also using economic abuse. So again, I'll pay all the bills. You stay at home. You clean the house. Just kind of like indicating which roles, the woman should have or the male should have in the home. And it's like, just have balance in the relationship. But this is a cycle of power and control. It's actually a wheel that we look at to see some of the incidents and why they happen in relationships. So what are some of the things that you could do if you live in an abusive relationship? It's important to memorize important phone numbers. So for example, if you have a strong support system, family, friends, any type of support, you want to have those numbers memorized. Cell phones are breakable. In the heat of passion, in the argument or something, anyone could easily grab a cell phone and crush it, smash it, break it. It's also important to save important documents. So for example, like birth certificates, social security cards, driver's license, any type of identification, credit card. You want to have access to these. And this is specifically for someone that's in an abusive relationship or intimate partner violence, and they want to make their exodus, they want to make their escape plan. Have a bank account. Many times in these types of relationships where there is financial abuse, there'll be a joint account. Well, it'll be difficult to, make an escape plan if this person sees, oh, well, you stayed at the hotel, you didn't come home last night. I saw it on the online banking, what's going on? That makes it more difficult, and that may make the other person more upset. So you do want to have your own privacy as far as your finances, information, documents. Maintain contact with your family and neighbors. So a lot of times in our community, we don't like to tell people our business. We want to have this picture perfect relationship. Oh, he bought me everything, girl. He bought me the Gucci bag, girl. He took me to Puerto Vallarta. He took me to Puerto Rico, all that type of stuff. But it's like, if it's abusive and toxic, none of that matters. Like, all those good memories and stuff, they're in vain. They're null and void because it's not going to last. So, memorize the escape plan and work on that in private. You don't have to tell your partner everything, because they will become more upset and controlling when they find out, oh, this person's trying to leave me. And then a lot of times I've heard that, like, oh, you're gonna leave me out, it'll be fatal if you try to leave me. So, and again, for male or female, it doesn't matter. Like, intimate partner violence is intimate partner violence. More things you could do. Grab your passport, legal residency documents. I already talked about the birth certificate, social security card, children's school records if you have school-age children, children medical records if you have children, important phone numbers, addresses, bank statements, IDs, numbers to agencies. You might want to get like a little notebook or something and write that in and keep it hidden. Because it's important. People are losing their lives daily. Every 9 seconds, a woman is abused by her intimate partner. So it's really important that if you're in that situation, you try your best to get out. If you continue to live in the home after you've decided to end the abusive relationship, you definitely want to change the locks. You definitely want to get you some type of alarm system, ADT. You definitely want cameras like Ring. That's just one that I'll just throw out there. So you definitely want security measures in your home. Let your neighbors know. I know you don't want to be telling them what's going on. But look, you got to tell your neighbor, look, if you see her, if you see him, call the po-pos. You know what I'm saying? Because it ain't work out, and you afraid for your life or whatever. And I'm trying to make light of this situation, but it's really serious. It's not funny at all, but you feel where I'm coming from. And then as far as like school and picking your kids up from school, you want to make sure that if you have a restraining order, you give the school or the daycare provider a copy and say, this person cannot pick up the kids. We have a court case going on, or, I got this restraining order. Don't do it. Because, we've seen kids become victims of this, and they shouldn't be involved in their parents. These are grown people that had kids, and they putting their kids in the middle of it. It's really unfair and unfortunate, but these are just some precautions, some measures that you could take to protect yourself, protect your children, and move on with your life. You feel me? So get that restraining order. Go to that court. I don't care what nobody say. You go to that court and you let them know, you know what? And hopefully you have like some type of documentation or something, because a judge typically won't approve a restraining order unless there's valid evidence that this person has been stalking you, harassing you, threatening you, things like that. Also, you might have to let your coworker know. If you're going to work, and let your coworker know, look, girl, if you see him, or look, person that I work with, if you see her, because again, women are perpetrators too in certain situations, let them know. Don't be ashamed to share your story. Like I said, we went over the numbers. It's over 3.2 billion people that experience this. Every 9 seconds, a woman is abused. So nothing to be ashamed of. Now is the time to be verbal and communicate. Like, look, this is what's going on. You need help. You want to get out of this situation alive. A lot of people do not make it, right? So you want to avoid going to stores and banks and bars and the kick it spot and the turn up places where you guys used to hang out at, because that's the last thing you want to do is run into your ex, or, and then they see you out in public, and it's like, they get triggered, and then they just want to attack, and then things happen like that in public. So, and again, you want to reach out to professional help, seek a counselor, therapist, support groups, do anything in your power to develop a support network for yourself, because at this point, you're going to rebuild your life and start all the way over, okay? So how y'all doing? We're going to do a little check-in. So inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. So this is a 5-finger breathing technique just to calm you down. I know that's some heavy stuff to deal with. I try to make it light, because it is heavy, but you could do that breathing technique. So now when we talk about children and domestic violence, it's really unfortunate. Again, children are affected by this. They could suffer from depression, anxiety, fear, eating disorders, sleeping problems, regressive behavior, guilt. They'll start acting out. And even as they get older, if they grow up in a home with their parents arguing and fighting, they'll think it's normal, and they'll just start reenacting. So you definitely want to not display that type of behavior in front of your children. And so there's a factor of severity, proximity, duration, and frequency of domestic violence. So a child exposed to continuous abuse of domestic violence, they'll be more emotionally damaged. They may take on the role of like the mediator, the negotiator. Children they should be allowed to be children. They shouldn't be the referee in what you and him got going on, or what you and her got going on. You know what I'm saying? So let kids be kids. And if you guys have how do you say it, differences that you can't resolve, then y'all need to go y'all separate ways. It's easy, it's simple. It's so many people in the world. If things are not working out with you and this person, find somebody else. Somebody else gonna love you the way that you want to be loved. Trust me. And then there's factor 2, the gender of the child. So boys and girls could be affected in different ways. So the boy could begin to take on some of these patterns and behaviors, or a girl may feel like it's normal. My mom stayed in an abusive relationship, or the guy may feel like, well, my dad was an abuser. So, they take it on different ways. So it's really important. The children are the main ones affected at the end of the day. Like I mentioned, the story of the person that I know that lost her life to domestic violence, she's actually on my page. So if you see the Ghetto Hard Times video, it's actually a tribute to her. She lost her life, and it's so unfortunate, but at the end of the day, the kids suffer, people lose their lives. It's just not healthy. It's not healthy. So we working on being healthier, being smarter, because health is wealth. So we got to be healthy. So there's a factor 4, presence or absence of a loving adult. So the presence or absence of a loving adult, it can make a difference in how the child feels about themselves, how they react, how they manage episodes of domestic violence. So we definitely want to spread love, hope, encouragement, and well-being, right? So there's factor 5, response from the support system. You definitely want to understand um, the understanding and training of a professional who can effectively respond and help families of domestic violence. So for you, that might be your church or your spiritual belief. For some others, that may be like the legal system, the hospital, the police department. Know how we feel in our community about that, but there's a time and place for everything. So you may need these support systems. I mean, it just is what it is. Your life is important and it matters. So we want you to stay safe. We want them babies safe. So a simple way for understanding domestic violence in children is an 8-year-old was asked to draw a picture of his father. And basically what this 8-year-old drew was the devil with red eyes and horns, and he said, "This is my daddy when he get mad, because when he get drunk, his eyes get red and he look like the devil." So kids are very impressionable. So you don't want your kid looking at you like you the devil. Come on, man. So when adolescents are exposed to domestic violence, they could start to use drugs and alcohol. We've seen an increase of drug use since the pandemic. The fentanyl is on the rise, taking lives. Come on, y'all. We want to be healthy. We want to thrive. So there's injury as a result of intervening in the domestic violence episode. So children don't need to be being a referee and a coach, and you know what I mean? Like, let them be kids. And, sometimes children get hurt in the process of defending, their parent or their guardian. If they see this, they witness this, and they don't want to, they want to break it up. So they'll start to demonstrate attitude supporting domestic violence, and they'll become violent in their own relationship. I covered that briefly. They'll continue the cycle. So let's end the cycle of domestic violence, guys. You feel me? Support the children that are affected by domestic violence, and parents and family members, they could provide help too by creating a predictable, stable environment, establishing a consistent structure and clear expectations. So no, this is not going on in my household. My home is peaceful. Okay. This is my sanctuary. This is my castle. We don't have all that drama going on up in here. Pay close attention to nonverbal signs and behaviors. And you want to model healthy relationships and respectful relationships, because children are like sponges, and they imitate and emulate what adults do. So if you're modeling a good example, a healthy example of what a good healthy relationship is, more than likely they're going to mimic that and create that reality for themselves. So it's important. You're going through domestic violence, report it, seek help, have a safety plan, get up out of there. Quit playing. Get your kids. I don't care if you ain't got no shoes on your feet, no clothes on your back. Get up out of there, because things happen, and we don't want it to be fatal. Get you a restraining order. Okay. Oh, but I love him, and okay, that's good. But he needs help, and you need help, and your kids need help. So you staying in it is not helping. It's not working, right? Look for a shelter. Most people, I don't want to stay in no shelter. You got to do what you got to do in that situation. Hate to bring it to you this raw, or, how I'm bringing it to you, but it is what it is. Maybe this is the only way you're going to get it. Seek some treatment. Talk to a therapist. Go get counseling. Oh, well, I'm too good. I got it under control. No, you don't. Go talk to somebody. Look for a domestic violence support group. You know what, y'all? I gotta bring it to y'all like this, because my Eastside babies, you know what I'm saying? Y'all know, y'all already know. So with that being said, we all deserve to live a healthy life free from violence. Okay, y'all. So that concludes this video. Shout out on my Eastside babies. I'll try to leave some links for y'all for supports for domestic violence or resources. But yeah, we want to live safely. We want to raise our babies. We want to have fun. We want to thrive. We want to turn up. We want to love on our partner. We don't want to fight our partner. So it's time to end the cycle of domestic violence, y'all. So with that being said, it's your girl S to the C Scorpio, S to the C Twerk Goddess. Shout out on my Eastside babies, and I'm out.